Hi, and welcome to the U. Today we're going to be talking about the celebration of PSN TV's 10-year anniversary.
And for world and national news, we'll be talking about South African activist Nelson Mandela.
And in entertainment news, we will be talking about Joe Jonas's tell-all interview.
Hi, and welcome to the U. I'm Sam Patterson.
I'm Kelsey Johnson.
And I'm Eric Dowling.
So today for Penn State news, they're having the wrestling at the BJC for the very first time.
Yeah, so on December 8th, the wrestling is kind of a big deal in Penn State. What's going on is they're opening it up to the BJC, moving from the really small venue of Rec Hall, bringing it to the BJC, where lots and lots and lots of people can go to watch it. And usually BJC doesn't really get sold out that often, especially for sporting events. Like basketball, I think 2009 was the last time that the BJC sold out for a sporting event.
Yeah.
At least for men's basketball. I don't really know for women's. It might have been like a pink out or something. But they sold out within, I think, minutes of putting the tickets up. And basketball was last night, so they had like a 9-hour tear down and put up for wrestling. And it's crazy because literally, I think every seat in the BJC is going to be filled. Traffic was crazy going to anywhere near the BJC. It's almost like a football weekend. There's so many people here.
I can't even believe that because, I mean, I'm coming to Penn State here. I've never even seen a wrestling match, but that's...
I mean, I've gone to 1 or 2 wrestling matches. They're exciting.
Yeah.
But you really, like, it's a very complex sport, and it's a lot of stop and go, and it's just, it's kind of hard for somebody who's not passionate about it or doesn't know anything about it to watch. So
to get intrigued.
Right. So for, it doesn't have a huge, really strong student following, but it has a good student following for those students that do follow it, and it's just a really fun sport to go and just. I think every Penn State student should have the chance to go at least once.
Absolutely, I agree, and maybe I'll take that up. In other sports-related news, Hackenberg wins the Big Ten Freshman Year Award. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a freshman. That's like a big deal.
Especially
big man on campus.
Within the Big Ten. I think that's really incredible to be that good at a sport at that young of an age.
Yeah, the only thing I think he had going for him was he was. Being a quarterback, it's the spotlight position of football. So he's going to get the most attention other than like a cornerback or an offensive lineman. Those are the, like, defense, a couple positions, and then offensive linemen are really the only places you really truly see true freshmen starting. And he's that high-profile player. And the only other quarterbacks really worth mentioning in the Big Ten right now are Braxton Miller and Cook for Michigan State. I mean, really, I don't think in the last 2 years there's been that standout quarterback. Like 3 years ago, we had Russell Wilson, who's now doing big things in the NFL. But I mean, what Hackenberg is doing is fantastic. And then he was also, because of these accomplishments, he was named the Student of the Week a couple weeks. Because of these accomplishments, which shows also the dedication to academics for Penn State, and it's really quite something to be said.
No, that's super interesting, and even within college sports, there's such a big difference between being 18 years old coming out of high school to playing people who are 21 and 22 years old as a senior.
Like, look at Johnny Manziel and Jameis Winston, 2 of the, I would say, most polarizing figures right now in college sports.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're getting into trouble. They're not really doing the smartest things in the world, and they're getting huge national attention. Hackenberg's keeping his head on relatively straight from everything that I've heard.
For being that young and
he hasn't done anything really stupid like signing autographs for money and other alleged accusations and stuff like that. But it's really, really nice to see someone who's so grounded, and I think Bill O'Brien has a huge part in that.
I think he played a big role in that. So with Hackenberg playing the role he is now, we hear that Tyler Ferguson is now going to transfer. Do we think there's a correlation
And I think that the sound around us is the sound of everybody who cares, because listening, like watching Ferguson play the 2 games that he really played at, the blue and white game, for one, was a mess, to put it lightly. Like, Bench and Ferguson were like the big parts of that blue and white game. Bench didn't impress, and he's gone, so that doesn't matter. And Ferguson didn't look good. And the thing that really just made me realize how we need to not go with Ferguson, even though he was a top junior college recruit.
Yeah.
His game against Syracuse was some of the worst quarterbacking I've ever seen. And he fumbled it on a pump fake, and you need to just stick with Hackenberg and let him do his thing.
I think maybe it'll be the best choice for him, and as far as like our team and where we're going, I think it's a good decision. So best of luck to him.
Yeah.
And in other news, it is PSN TV's 10-year anniversary.
Yeah,
so
this week.
So we did a lot of celebrating, and we had tables set up in the hub where people can come and visit and play different games, be part of activities, try and join and come be on the show.
And they could have they could win things like Jay-Z tickets were being raffled off, which is
tickets, those are
amazing.
huge.
crazy that our network was able to put that together and just all that coordination and everything. Emily Cleary is our head like PR person, and she did a fantastic job organizing everything. And then all the people that are part of the senior staff, I think everyone really came together and showed how we are a good whole network. And
Absolutely.
I was at the group picture for the network and everything, and it was just a really nice feeling. Like everyone was happy. Like we all know each other for the most part, and we just seem friendly. Like I think most other clubs, like Thon, for instance, I think it's just so big that
it's
you
huge.
you bond with people over being in Thon, but you don't necessarily know everyone in Thon.
And you don't get to know anyone personally. But that's it for Penn State news.
Hey, and welcome back to the U. We're going to be talking about world and national news now. And the first big story that's been around a lot that I've heard so much about is Amazon and their drones. They're going to be trying to deliver packages to people in 30 minutes by drones, which is terrifying. I
can't believe that.
I think it's really cool. Like, just the fact that the technology is there to do it. Is incredible.
It's terrifying.
Also terrifying. I mean, Amazon is really trying to cement themselves as the only retailer in the world, and I think at that aspect, it's kind of bad because stores like Best Buy, which I love going to, and other like locally owned stores that can't compete in prices because Amazon has no middleman. It's Amazon and that's it. And all these other stores, they're not going to be able to compete. And especially now that Amazon's already going to be offering, and I think 5 years is when they're projected to have all these drones ready.
Right.
30-minute deliveries. I mean, I could be like, oh, I want to watch this movie in like 2 hours. Let me just buy it, and then Amazon will have it to me.
Or you could forget about somebody's birthday and be like, hey, that's okay, Amazon, you know?
Amazon will drop it right off on your doorstep.
What will happen to what will happen to UPS and like the post office? I mean,
well, the post office is dying as it is, so I think it's only going to be a matter of time before I think the government starts trying to like work with Amazon or something crazy like that.
Yeah, scary.
I mean, I'm thinking of it in the perspective, like, can you imagine being a pilot on a plane and, like, driving by and you have to get around the Amazon drone packages to try
I think they'll just be flying slightly over tree level.
But that's still
and birds
scary.
and
The birds thing is the, like, legitimate concern, but then I wonder what they'll do if let's say, like, you know how, like, those airplanes get, like, birds stuck in their, like, propellers and stuff?
Will that happen?
Will that happen? And then if so, what if my package is destroyed and lost forever? And also, what if this package is lost, but it still is maintained, and it just arrives on my doorstep, and it's supposed to be for somebody else? Do I get a free package,
people
or
can
what's going on?
shoot these down. I don't know what I'm thinking, but people can shoot them down with guns and steal all your stuff, for one thing.
I think
they could fall out of the sky.
It's going to cause crazy chaos.
I think we might see a modern day Purge.
No,
like
seriously?
the movie Purge.
I
like
do not like that. I'm sorry.
Next it'll be flying cars and so on. But it's funny to see that stuff grow as like when you used to watch older movies and they would be talking on like cell phones and I'm like, that's not real. Like, that's never gonna happen, and here we are.
I still personally want to see a shoe phone like invented from like Get Smart, so I can be like, oh hey, I always have my shoe on me. let me just call someone, but
works out. Okay, another big story that we have is there was a man that was in the news recently. He survived 3 days underwater because he was in an air pocket. And I know you were talking about it. The ship like flipped upside down.
Yeah, it flipped upside down. And he was in the bathroom when the ship sank, and I guess the water didn't come into the bathroom, so he was in there. But I mean, like half of his body was, but he was able to breathe. But when the diver went down to do like the rescue and get the bodies out of the water, he reached for a hand that he saw, and he thought it was of a dead person, and the hand reached back and grabbed his, and it was actually like the live man that was in the air
That's
pocket.
like something out of a horror movie,
No, it
and
really
that would freak me out if I was the diver. But it's an incredible story. They'll probably make a movie about it, but I think
they should. It'd be.
I think it would be like 127 hours, but it would be. Yeah. It's just incredible how. Like, it just shows you how well made these boats are and how they can really be against the water, because a car could never have an air pocket.
No,
They're so, like, porous and everything, and a boat is definitely a good seafaring vehicle.
And the video I watched of this, the man was so calm too when he got rescued. Like he was just like, I would be going crazy, and he was just like, all right, tell me what to do so I can get out of here, and like we'll go.
And the fact that it was 3 days, like how he knew it was 3 days is
yeah.
Oh, can you imagine just being underwater? I don't want to be the guy that grabs his hand and it grabs you. Seriously, what I was saying was Jaws. I love that movie. I've seen it a million times, and I'm always scared at the point where there's that body underwater. Every single time I freak out, and I'm not even underwater. So I don't know. I just don't know.
And good for him, and I'm glad he's alive.
Yeah,
Bless him,
seriously.
That's pretty incredible.
That is amazing. And on sadder news, if that's a word, Nelson Mandela actually recently passed away. Which is terrible. He was a South African activist, and he was the first Black president of South Africa, I believe.
Which is really saying something, because especially with South Africa, like, and the apartheid and everything like that, they were very segregated. He was jailed for 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And having no animosity towards his jailers or towards anyone is incredible. It's really like a truly amazing story, and he's one that we'll remember for the ages. He'll be marked down with, he already was, but along the lines of Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and those pacifists that are just always doing good and set that example that everyone should live by. And Mandela, like, his legacy will continue forever.
Oh,
of course. Yeah, what I was gonna say is, he said so many amazing things, like, even on, I'm a big Pinterest nut, and he was trending on Pinterest, like all of his quotes this week. So I think it will stick around for a long, long time.
And also, like, everything that he's done is just really incredible, and he should be remembered forever. He'll be in history textbooks and everything.
Of course. Well, on that note, we will be right back with entertainment news.
Hi, and welcome back to the U. Today we're going to be doing some entertainment news, and we're going to start kind of with something a little bit tragic. Paul Walker's death is something that's really, really sad. There's been jokes made which I think are in some of the worst taste that they could possibly have.
I didn't hear that either.
And because the way he died, sort of ironic, yes, but just he was an incredible person. He was coming back from a charity event when it happened, and the autopsy report came back. He was lacerations and burns, and it's just awful. And with his death, their Fast and the Furious franchise is obviously up in turmoil. They've suspended production, and they got to figure out a way what to do with his character and everything like that. And it's really, really sad. He seems like a wonderful person.
I just read a story about him. That there's a jeweler that came forward because he was in a shop and he anonymously gave money for a person who wanted to buy a ring for his soon-to-be fiance, and he couldn't afford it. So he overheard the conversation and told the jeweler, like, put this on my tab, I want to buy it, and didn't want them to know, and kept it completely anonymous. But the jeweler came forward and just told the story
just
now,
recently,
just to
See, like,
just to spread the.
And it's incredible. And he was one of those celebrities that stayed out of the limelight.
Exactly.
He really just tried to do good everywhere he went, and I believe he had a daughter who I think is like 16 or something like that.
16, yeah, she's
and
a teenager.
that's really sad, and just
absolutely.
everything. But the bright side or silver lining, I guess you could say, of this is it's kind of creating more awareness for his charity, because Fast and the Furious 6 is coming out on DVD, I think, sometime soon, and they're doing all proceeds, I believe, are going towards his charity, which is incredible.
Amazing.
And it's really kind of showing how the studio knows that he was a huge reason of their success, and putting it towards something that he was so passionate about.
That's really good. It's heartbreaking, but I'm happy that they're making something of it and putting something towards it, like towards the charity that he really did appreciate, and kind of making, like, promoting the goodness that he's done.
What he dedicated his life to.
Exactly.
But moving from something that's just awful and tragic to something that's awful and tragic, but in a different way. The Kardashians' Christmas card. Oh my God.
That is not a Christmas card. It's like a statement card. It's like about their year. It should be a New Year's card maybe, or something.
And it's just, there's a lot of deeper meaning.
A lot of Illuminati signs.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
I think Jay-Z and Beyonce had something to do with it, probably. I don't know. I think not going to get into that, but Kanye West is absent from it. Scott Disick is absent from it. Lamar is absent from it. Rob is absent from it.
And their family.
Yeah, and their faces are on the magazines, though, like Lamar and Kanye and everything, on the magazines that they're standing on top of, which I think is really...
And it should be noted that the magazine that they have for Kanye is his Rolling Stone from a few years ago, where he is the picture of
and
Christ
he has
with the crown of thorns and everything, which it's the only thing really Christmassy about the card, but like
there's graffiti on it that says Fame Money.
Courtney's son is in it, so
he's in it, but no Scott. I mean, no Rob. That's their son.
And Bruce is in like a
glass tube. But I was reading on eOnline, and they do actually have mannequins. If you look in the background, male mannequins that look like all the men in the family, and they're standing around this pit of fire. They're all naked. It's just the weirdest like symbolism, hidden messages. Kim Kardashian's face is on it 60 times on the card.
I will say though that I did a little research on who the photographer was, and he's very close with Kanye West.
Oh, okay.
So this very deep symbolism is something that I find not surprising in the least. Kanye West is all about the symbolism and everything.
I mean, I appreciate that, and I like the artistic value of things.
For a Christmas
Christmas card,
and then you go back and you look at their one from last year, which is so much different. Like it's just a Christmas card, a family photo, and I can understand if they were trying to do the symbolism thing as a traditional thing, like they did it every year, but it was just a weird.
The Kardashians are all crazy.
They are, and that's the end of that.
But keeping with that crazy theme, we have one of Disney's golden boys, Joe Jonas, who is breaking his silence, I guess, on the whole Disney tween sensation and everything. And I kind of gained a ton more respect for Joe Jonas. I always thought he was a fake and a sham before this, and
to put it lightly.
But he admitted that Miley Cyrus and Demi Lovato introduced him to smoking weed, and that he lost his virginity at age 20, which I knew he wasn't that good of a person to keep those promise rings, and just all sorts of really interesting things, and how, and he's reiterating the fact that so many other former Disney stars have said that the Disney sets, because they're all so close to each other, is like a giant high school. And since you're all working so close together, and that's all you see, all of this drama that it creates everything like that.
But what I thought was really interesting, though, was just like the response by another Disney star, Dylan Sprouse, who was talking about, there's some like expletives in what he says, but he basically says, I'm just gonna explain it briefly. That he thinks it is crap that they felt that they were being robbed of their choices or creativity, that they felt that they had to act a certain way because Disney wanted them to, and he was saying that him and his brother, who are actually on The Sweet Life on Disney Channel for years, the twins from that show, they were saying they said no to Disney all the time. He said that people can fall for the allure of fame. That's his words. And that's how people get all caught up in it, feel like they have to act a certain way. And he says you don't have to become something else to be successful.
I think he's really smart. Aren't they still young?
Definitely. He's 21.
They both go to NYU, which is really saying something. Because, I mean, with really no form of education and everything, but it's all really interesting. I believe it was Vulture or Vibe that did the interview. Check it out, but that's all we have for entertainment news. Stay tuned for our final segment.